Dear viewers, welcome to our channel. Subscribe to receive more stories every day. The sound of the judge's gavel echoed through the courtroom like the final nail in the coffin of her marriage. The court grants the plaintiff, Michael Davenport, full ownership of all marital assets, including the estate, businesses, and financial accounts. The defendant, Olivia Davenport, is entitled to no further compensation. The words burned into Olivia's mind like a branding iron. She stood frozen, unable to breathe as the weight of the ruling settled upon her. Her hands clenched into fists at her sides, nails digging into her palm to keep from breaking down in front of the smug man sitting across from her. Michael barely looked at her as he whispered something into the ear of his new wife. His former secretary, Vanessa. The woman let out a small, victorious laugh. Her manicured fingers laced through his like a trophy on display. It had taken 15 years of marriage, countless nights spent building his business empire alongside him, and just one affair for it all to crumble into dust. And now she had nothing. Not the house they had designed together. Not the cars she had chosen. Not the vacation home where they had dreamed of retiring. Her lawyers had warned her. Michael has the best legal team money can buy. Without proof that he's hiding assets, we don't stand a chance. But Olivia had refused to believe that the man she once loved could be so cruel. She had been wrong. Her lips pressed into a thin line as the courtroom emptied. Michael strolled past her with a smirk. Nothing personal, Liv. You just weren't smart enough. Vanessa looped her arm through his, flashing her diamond ring, the same one Olivia had picked out years ago. Better luck next time, Vanessa whispered, her voice dripping with condescension. That was the moment something inside Olivia snapped. She had been humiliated, stripped of everything, tossed aside like she was nothing. But she wasn't nothing. And Michael was about to regret ever thinking she was. The weeks following the divorce were a living nightmare. Without a home, she was forced to crash on her best friend Rachel's couch in a tiny apartment on the other side of town. It was a far cry from the life she had once lived. No more penthouse views, no more designer furniture, no more luxury. She spent her days in court-mandated financial workshops, learning how to survive on nothing. And worst of all, she had to hear the whispers. Did you hear about Olivia? Lost everything in the divorce. Serves her right for being a housewife. What did she expect? Michael and Vanessa are planning a wedding in the Maldives. Can you believe it? The betrayal cut deeper than she imagined. Michael had rewritten history, painting himself as the victim, making her out to be the money-hungry ex-wife when she had built his empire alongside him. But nobody cared about that. The world loved a winner. And at that moment, Olivia was anything but. It wasn't until a rainy afternoon, sitting alone in a cheap cafe, that everything changed. She had been sipping on a watery coffee, staring blankly at a classified ad for minimum wage jobs, when a voice interrupted her thoughts. Olivia! She turned, blinking up at the face of a ghost from her past. Sebastian Kane. The boy she had dated in college. The one she had broken up with when Michael came along, promising her the world. Except Sebastian wasn't a boy anymore. He was a man who carried himself with quiet power. And judging by the tailored suit and the Rolex on his wrist, he was a very successful man. She swallowed. Sebastian. Wow, it's been, 20 years? Something like that, he chuckled, taking a seat across from her without waiting for an invitation. His sharp eyes studied her carefully. I heard about your divorce. Heat flared in her cheeks. She hated how pity looked on people's faces. Yeah, well, things didn't exactly go my way. His gaze darkened. I also heard that Michael took everything from you. Her jaw tightened. That's an understatement. Sebastian leaned back, crossing his arms. Funny. I remember you telling me back in college that you'd never let anyone control your fate. She laughed bitterly. Well, I failed at that, didn't I? He tilted his head. Did you? She frowned. What do you mean? Sebastian smirked, pulling something out of his pocket. Business card. I have a proposition for you. She hesitated before taking it. Her eyes widened as she read the embossed name. Sebastian Kane, CEO of Kane Industries. She snapped her gaze up. You own Kane Industries, the global tech company. He chuckled. I do. And I have a feeling you'd be perfect for something I'm working on. For the first time in months, Olivia felt something she hadn't in a long time. Oh. Olivia stared at the business card in her hand, heart pounding. She hadn't seen Sebastian in years, and now he was offering her an opportunity. Sebastian, she said cautiously, I appreciate the gesture, but I don't even know what you're offering. He leaned forward, his expression serious. I need someone I can trust, someone sharp, someone who understands business, negotiation, and how to handle ruthless men like Michael. At the mention of her ex-husband's name, Olivia's spine stiffened. Sebastian smirked. That got your attention. She exhaled, shaking her head. Sebastian, I've been out of the game for years. Michael, she nearly choked on the name, made sure to erase me from everything. Have no money, no resources. And yet, he countered, I remember a girl who once said she'd conquer the world if given the chance. Her fingers curled around the card. Sebastian leaned back. I own several companies, but there's one in particular that could use someone like you. A real estate development firm on the verge of a massive expansion deal. I need a partner. Someone with insight, someone who can negotiate on my behalf. She blinked. Why me? A slow smile played on his lips. Because I know you, Olivia. And I know you hate losing. Something inside her clicked into place. The fire, long buried under humiliation and grief, sparked to life. For the first time since Michael took everything from her, Olivia felt like she was standing on solid ground again. She took a deep breath and extended her hand. I'm in. Sebastian shook it. Welcome to Kane Industries. The next few months were a whirlwind. Sebastian threw Olivia into the deep end. Board meetings, late-night strategy sessions, ruthless negotiations. And she thrived. The more she worked, the more she remembered who she used to be before Michael shrunk her into a perfect housewife. She wasn't just the woman behind a successful man. She had built that success with her own hands. Now she was building something for herself. With each victory, her confidence grew. First, a multi-million-dollar contract for Kane Industries' real estate division. Then, securing international investors for a high-profile development project. Before long, she wasn't just working for Sebastian. She was running the entire operation. And then came the day that changed everything. Olivia sat in the dimly lit conference room, fingers drumming against the polished wood table. Across from her, the lawyers for Kane Industries quietly arranged their papers, preparing for the meeting ahead. The door swung open and he walked in. Michael. He looked as smug as ever, dressed in his usual tailored suit, his gold watch glinting under the fluorescent lights. And right behind him like a shadow was Vanessa. Olivia felt nothing when she saw them. No pain, no regret, just a calm, steady confidence. Michael barely glanced at her before dropping into the chair across from her. Let's make this quick, he said dismissively. I have better things to do. Olivia smirked. I'll bet you do. He frowned, as if finally registering the shift in power. He glanced around. Where's Sebastian Kane? He sent me in his place, Olivia said smoothly. Michael's brows furrowed. You? He let out a small laugh. Kane must be desperate if he's letting you. Enough, she interrupted, her voice slicing through the room. She slid a thick folder across the table. This is an offer from Kane Industries for the commercial properties under your company's portfolio. Michael opened the folder, flipping through the documents. His jaw tightened. Vanessa peered over his shoulder, eyes widening. Michael, this is a buyout. A hostile takeover, to be exact. Michael's grip on the papers tightened. This is ridiculous. There's no way in hell I'm selling to you. Olivia leaned forward, a slow smile curling on her lips. Oh, Michael, I'm not asking. He stiffened. She sat back, savoring the moment. Your company is drowning in debt. Your investors are jumping ship. You don't have a choice. Michael's jaw clenched so tightly she thought he might snap a tooth. This is your revenge, isn't it? She tilted her head. Revenge? She let out a soft chuckle. Oh, Michael. This is just good business. Vanessa shot to her feet, panic flashing in her eyes. You can't do this. We'll fight it in court. Olivia shrugged. By all means. But the lawyers in this room will tell you. You don't have a case. Michael knew it. His face had gone pale, his fingers twitching. 4 years he had held all the power. Now, Olivia was holding the pen that would decide his fate. She picked up the contract and slid it closer. Sign the papers, Michael. Silence. Then, slowly, reluctantly, Michael reached for the pen. And in that moment Olivia won. 2 weeks later, Olivia stood at the massive glass window of her new office. The corner office. Her name was now on the building. Her company. Her empire. She had not only taken back everything Michael stole from her, she had taken his future too. A knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. Sebastian leaned against the frame, grinning. So, how does it feel? Olivia smiled. It feels like I finally got what I deserved. Sebastian stepped inside. And Michael. She turned, watching the sunset cast golden hues across the skyline. Michael. She laughed, shaking her head. Michael is just a footnote in my success story. And for the first time in a long time, Olivia felt free. Completely and utterly free. The news hit the financial world like an earthquake. Former CEO Michael Davenport loses company in hostile takeover. Kane Industries' new executive Olivia Davenport reshapes real estate market. The ex-wife wins. Olivia Davenport's stunning comeback. Michael's downfall played out in real time for the world to see. His empire crumbled faster than he could fight it. Banks pulled their support, investors fled, and his carefully crafted image as a business genius disintegrated overnight. And Vanessa? She had not signed up for a man on the decline. Less than a month after the takeover, rumors swirled that Vanessa had quietly filed for divorce. Michael was done. And Olivia? She was just getting started. One morning, Olivia sat in the boardroom of her company, overlooking the city skyline. She had a new team, a new purpose, and a legacy to build. Sebastian sat across from her, watching her with amusement. You know, he said, sipping his coffee, when I first made you that offer, I didn't expect you to go for total domination. Olivia smirked. You should have. Sebastian laughed. So what's next? She leaned back in her chair, fingers drumming against the table. Michael always thought power meant control, keeping people beneath him. But I know better. Sebastian raised a brow. Oh, Olivia's smile was sharp. Real power is lifting people up. I'm going to rebuild this company ethically. We're going to do things differently. Sebastian chuckled. You sound like a woman with a plan. I am, she said. And this time, I'm the one writing the rules. It wasn't until 6 months later that she saw him again. Olivia had just finished a late meeting and was stepping out of the office when a figure emerged from the shadows. Michael. But not the man she once knew. He looked defeated. His expensive suits were gone, replaced with something far more ordinary. His face was lined with exhaustion. The arrogance was gone. For a long moment they just stared at each other. Finally he spoke. His voice was raw, quiet. Olivia. She tilted her head. Michael. He exhaled, shaking his head. You really did it, huh? You destroyed me. She crossed her arms. No, Michael. You destroyed yourself. He gave a bitter laugh. I never thought you had it in you. Her lips curled. That was your first mistake. He hesitated, as if searching for the right words. Finally he sighed. Vanessa's gone. Olivia raised an eyebrow. Shocking. Michael let out another laugh, but it was hollow. I lost everything. For a fleeting moment she almost felt pity. Almost. But then she remembered every humiliation, every betrayal, every time he had laughed at her pain. Michael had made his choices. Now he had to live with them. "You know," she said, stepping closer, "for years I thought I needed you, that I was nothing without you. But the truth," she let out a soft laugh, "you were always holding me back." Michael swallowed hard. And then, without another word, she turned and walked away, without looking back. As Olivia drove home that night, she rolled down the window, letting the crisp evening air wash over her. She had lost everything. And then she had rebuilt herself from the ground up. Not just for revenge. Not just to prove Michael wrong. But because she had always been meant for more. She wasn't the woman Michael had left behind. She was the woman who had risen from the ashes and built an empire of her own. And this was only the beginning. Dear viewers, thank you for watching. If you like this story, please subscribe to our channel to receive more stories every day. Share with us what you think of this story and tell us where you're watching from.